If you ever wondered what it looked like to unload a 2,500 pound cross-cut slab of red oak off a dump truck, stick around until later in the video because I've got an adventure in store for you. Right now I'm on my way over to salvage a bunch of 5-foot wide, cross-cut cookie slabs of red oak that were just being trashed. I was just on my way to lunch when I saw some guys pushing these giant slabs around, and at first I thought there had to be some sort of good reason they had cut this 5-foot diameter trunk of oak into such a shape, when the trunk was probably worth a pretty penny if they sold it for lumber. Out of curiosity, I stopped in and they were simply planning to set it on their woodpile to rot. The pack rat and hustler in me went a little crazy and said I'd take them off their hands, and here I am, getting 2,500 pound chunks of oak loaded onto my dump truck and trailer to see if I can turn these around for any kind of money. The plan was simple. Our dump truck bed can take 4,500 pounds, so one chunk would fit on there easily, and then we put 3 chunks on my trailer, which can take an 8,000 pound load. The place I got these from has a decent backhoe with a great operator, and he worked the pieces onto my truck. The biggest problem we had here was that the loader bucket has a bolt-on blade and the bolts kept getting stuck on the pieces. I did what I could to help, but really it was just a matter of manipulating the bucket to get these pieces to come off finally. The rest of the load went pretty well, minus learning I'm stupid and had the wrong ball size hooked up to the trailer. When he set the wood down, it actually popped the ball off of the hitch and sent the trailer straight up. Fortunately, the backhoe operator had a simple solution to get it reattached. And humorously, the property manager stopped by to remind me I'm here at my own risk, right as this happened, but I pretended this was all part of the plan. Anywho, we finished loading the trailer by pushing the pieces up before loading the next one. We decided it was safest to just take 2 slabs because we weren't really sure of the weights and it was going to be tight and front heavy if we loaded a third. With roughly 7,500 pounds of oak behind me, it was time to haul it home. We recently had to get a new, larger tractor after our old one met a sad end, which I'll explain in another video eventually, but our new tractor's front loader capacity is only 1,700 pounds, which means we simply can't use it to unload the wood. We decided we'd just pull the chunks off the back of the trailer with a chain, which I must say worked perfectly. Then, with the trailer detached, we could then simply dump the third chunk. And, as promised, here's that footage. Moving! Perfect! Oh, yeah! Well done, Dad. Ooh. That is one beautiful piece of wood. So far, so good. It's time to get another load. The backhoe operator loaded the last pieces of wood that were still out by the tree for me, and this large one was too big for the bucket, so he hooked a chain to it, and it was very nail-biting watching him get this down because I was just waiting for that chain to break and this thing to come smashing down on our trailer, wrecking it. Fortunately, he was a pro and he got it on just right. I quick took this chunk home as I was working in between their schedule and dropped it off and went back for one final load of sections they had already moved. Coming home with another load. And I hope to eventually collect as much of that as I can. It's gonna start moving any second now. Yeah, move forward, drive forward, drive forward, drive forward. Well, it kind of worked. That's okay, because it was rolling off, it was just a guess. We're actually on one of them.
The one that was there. The one that was on the truck. Yeah.
So it's been about a week since I collected these chunks, and I've learned a lot about how you go about preserving these so that they don't just check and split and just completely get destroyed. And I'm starting to see why it costs so much to buy one of these when they're ready to go to be turned into a table or something like that. Basically, one, you gotta make it into smaller chunks, 4 to 5 inches. You need to put some sort of material on it that helps it from drying too quickly. And there's one that's probably the best product, pentacryl, but for one 4-inch slab of this size, you're looking at 3 gallons, which is like $200 or something like that. So that's a lot times 200 to get all of these in pentacryl. The pentacryl actually absorbs in and takes the place of water, and it stops it from shrinking when the water is removed from the wood as it dries, and sort of takes the place of it and stabilizes everything. But that requires it to get full penetration, which requires a lot of fluid. There's another product called Anchor Seal, which I've already ordered, which seems to be the best middle ground in my research, where it's only a surface coating rather than soaking all the way through. It's more commonly used on logs and stuff like that to seal the ends. You'll commonly see that. But because this is one giant end, it's a lot of surface area. But because you're only covering the surface, it's still relatively cheaper than pentacryl by coverage area and how much you get out of it. It's not as good, but it would be better than doing nothing. I'm interested in trying a few other ideas like linseed oil and turpentine, and that'll soak in and preserve it. And so just some different things. I'd be really interested in doing a big experiment, letting this sit for a few years and seeing how it turns out, because as it is now, I checked the moisture content and you're looking at something on the lines of 35% in this wood right now, and it needs to be a lot less than that. I think you could reasonably get it to 15% or something like that outside without using a kiln. And then I also found out if you wanted to kiln dry this, which is probably the best thing if you want the best result, just one 4-inch slab would cost about $400 to get dried because of the board footage and the time that it takes. They said about 4 weeks. So that's sort of outside of the scope of anything I want to do to dry all of this to try and sell it. So really, for me, the best option is to give it a simple coating and hope for the best. You know, put a small investment in, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, well, I spent $200 and I learned something, and hopefully you'll learn something in a couple of years. So subscribe. You'll find out the answer in just a couple short years. But I'd be real interested in trying any kind of methods. If you guys have an idea of something to do of preserving this, I'm happy and open to suggestions, but I don't really want to throw the money in to do it myself. So, you know, if there are some ideas, or if you want to help me kind of do this big experiment for all this wood, plus hopefully almost double this if I can pick it up yet, you can give me one of them super like things and throw me a couple of bucks down in the comments. I also added a PayPal link for me, so you can just send me some money that way, and that'll help me perform this experiment, because to do a really intensive attempt at preserving all of this and getting it from just being ruined, it's going to cost at least $1,000, maybe even a couple of grand, depending on how varied and how much. And you know, I still got to slab these, so I'm working on getting a chainsaw mill if I can find somebody that has one big enough to do this, or is skilled enough to get around this whole thing and cut these relatively flat, because right now my tractor definitely can't lift these as they are. These are in the realm of 2,500 pounds, some more, some less, but our tractor can do 1,700 pounds. I did check, the forks themselves can do 2,800 pounds, but that's not really enough. So the best it can do is sort of pick it up on the edges so I can at least get these off the ground. I have some more posts that I pilfered from the forest to put under that, just to raise it off the ground for now till I can process these. Kind of time is of the essence, so I'm still looking for ideas on different methods of processing these so they don't go to waste. So if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments, because I'm totally oblivious to this. I just saw an opportunity without much knowledge and kind of went for it. When I came across it, it was really just my time that I had to invest rather than any money. And now I'm learning the money that you have to invest to get the money out of it in the end. I'm not really set up to take advantage of that turnaround on your investment. Have a good one.